Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining today. We're going to be talking about event registrations and management in 4-H Online. There's a lot you can do in here. A couple advantages of running events through 4-H Online versus using something else like Sign Me Up or Sign Up Genius or even just Google Forms or Qualtrics or anything, is that you don't have to ask the people for their names. You don't have to ask them for their contact information. You don't have to ask them for all the demographics because all that's already in 4-H Online. But also, people don't have to enter it again if they're enrolling in multiple events. So everything is all in together. 2.0 allows us to have events attended by people who are not enrolled. The only downside here is that if they have been a volunteer, Cloverbud, or a club member, they have to be actively enrolled and approved in order to register for an event. But people who are not enrolled at all and have never been enrolled, we can easily get them in as a participant, and then they can sign up and register for the event. In fact, we're using that already for the virtual learning community. And there's several people, I think last time I looked, and that was probably a good month ago, we have at least 60 people who have signed up that way already. So that's 60 people that may be being reached that wouldn't normally be being reached. So there is a way to do it. It's really simple. And then once they're in, they can see what else you have to offer. So what we'll do is we'll get started with, I'm going to create a small event. I'll show you how to get started. And then I'm going to jump over into my demo event that I already have because I have everything set up in there. We can see what all the different features mean. And then we'll go ahead and we'll make the event active. We'll make it live. Then we'll go in as a family and see what they see and how they register. And then after that, we'll go back in as the manager and take a look at what you see as far as approving people and creating reports and things like that. So I'll just get started by sharing my screen. Here, it's this one. Okay, so now you should be able to see my my 4-H Online screen there. And where we're at is you just click on events. And right now you're going to see a whole lot of stuff. I mean, I see more than you probably. But what you can do is you can take a look here for permissions, because right now I don't have permissions with this login to a lot of these events. And there's ones that are in various different things. Like here's one that's actually at the institution, the state level. If I scroll down further, here's the ones in my county. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go up here and say for the hierarchy level, county area. That way it just shows the ones that are in my county that I've created. So here's my list that's here. Now, you'll notice the program year is listed here, and it's also a drop down up here, which means that next year, all those that are listed there, you can actually filter them out to look at only the ones from the current year. Or if next year you want to look back at one, it's going to become even more useful a couple of years down the road when it's really going to look, your list is going to be really large. So to get started, we're going to just click on Add Event. And it wants to know what the name of the event is going to be. I'm going to call it Fantastic Event. It's the best event ever. So this description here is going to be seen by the families when they go to register for the event. So they will see the event name and the description. The program year will just be the current year. You should be able to create one for next year too. So the event will be happening next year and get it all set up ahead of time. But for now, we'll just stick with doing it for just this year. Start date. When is the event itself happening? So I'm going to say that this event is happening May 1st through May 2nd. Okay, and then I'll click on add. And at this point, it's created the event. There's nothing in the event whatsoever. So we can take a look at the details here. And it's like, okay, there's a lot of things here. So I'm just going to click on edit so I can step through the different things and show you the options we have. So on edit, we can change the event name still. We can still update the event description. So you don't have to have that finalized before you get started. Different options we have here is enable sessions. I recommend not turning on sessions right now, just because there are some bugs in there, and has to do with, sometimes reports can't be generated. There's problems with, who can see different questions based upon this. So for now, let's just leave sessions alone. And sessions would be more like if you're having, let's say you're having a couple game nights and you're gonna have one this Saturday and one next Saturday. The sessions would be, they could sign up for this Saturday or next Saturday, and it'd be the questions they would ask. So it would actually keep them separate so that you could track them separately. It'd be like creating two events that are exactly identical, but they're happening at different times. So the sessions is not if you are having like a project learning day, and between 9 and 10, you have 5 different classes. And so that's the first session. And then, 10:30 to 11:30 is your second session. That's not what sessions are talking about here. So, but for now, we'll just leave that unchecked. Allow multiple registrations. This is if you want the same member to be able to submit more than one registration for this event. It doesn't mean that the family can only submit one. It means each member. So if you had 3 members in the family, each of those 3 could submit a registration, so it'd be 3 registrations from the family, but none of those members could submit a second registration for the same event. Usually that's what you want to leave it at, because otherwise they get started, and so you have an incomplete one, and then they submit another registration that's actually complete, and you end up with 2 registrations for the same person. One is incomplete, one is completely all the way through and approved, or they end up submitting twice. And then you're like, okay, which one do you want? Because there's differences between the 2 of them. So basically, you can leave multiple registrations off unless there's something about your registration event that would enable needing to have multiple registrations from the same person. The allow registration by manager only. This is at event level. So this means that the family themselves can't go in and start the registration. You have to start it for them, and then they can continue and complete the registration and submit it. So this is actually at the event level. There's also one where you can go in by the registration type. So maybe all the volunteers have to have you start it for them, because you don't want just any volunteers registering. You have specific ones that you want to be as chaperones at this event. So chances are you're not going to have this one checked either. Payment credits on. This means that they're able to pay by check at the event. The payment electronic on would mean pay by credit card. And before anybody gets real excited, credit cards are not quite there yet. Although apparently, I think we're down to one more office that needs to sign off on it. And that one there, I think, is not going to be a problem getting them to sign off it. And then we have to have a couple people attend some training. And it's for PCI compliance, and even though we're never going to see their credit cards, but it has to do with that part. So we're getting closer, and I'm thinking that's going to be it's going to be soon, but soon as in maybe in May at the earliest. But still, it's better than what, a couple of years ago when we were like, yeah, it's never going to happen. Now we're like, it's coming close. So for now, no credit card payments, only by checks. You need to make sure you have that box turned on. Session type is grayed out because we did not enable sessions. Bank account would have to do with the credit card payments. And since we're not doing those, that's just off for now. So let's move down a little further. We now have 4 checkboxes for area approvals. The county approval would be that you and the county have to approve the registration before the person is approved to attend the event. And then the district is just the district area, which is right now is north, south, and east. And the region, we don't have one. And then program level is the state. So it depends on where the event is. So if you're creating an event, you would check the required county area. None of the other ones would matter because it won't get to that. They won't get to that point. But if we have a state event, we might have multiples of these checked. But for you, I recommend having that on. The difference is if they submit an event registration and you have the box checked, that means that you get a notice saying there's this event registration to be approved. You can look through it and go, okay, everything looks good, approve. Or you can go, oh, they missed something here, or this isn't really clear. You can send it back to them. Without the box checked for requiring your approval, it goes immediately from submitted to approved without any intervention. So maybe for the first couple, just, while you're getting things ready, maybe just keep that box checked for now. But if it's just a really simple registration that there's no confusion or whatever on, go down, check it, and just as soon as they submit it, it's approved, it's ready to go. Program year, we already set that, and the start and end date, we already set that. So go ahead and save on that. Now, if we scroll down, the next section is to open or restrict the event by county. This is if you want it to be open to more than just your county. By default, it's going to be your county. But if you want more than that, you'll click on Edit. And if you want it for all the counties, it's just a quick checkbox here. If you want, like maybe your county and the surrounding counties, then you are just maybe specific ones you're going into, you're doing some event together with a couple other counties. You'll just click on this. I always use the gray box because it gives me this nice long list. It's easy to scroll with the scroll wheel, but also you can just check the boxes of which ones you want. So you would just check the ones that you want to include and then hit confirm, and they're all listed there. I'll go ahead and remove these ones because we don't want this event showing up in anyone's county right now. And so we'll hit save. Okay, here are two images. There's your logo image and there's the splash image. These appear in different places, and I'll show you which is which. They appear in different places of your, when the family goes to register. So the box that has the event in it with the register button, they can have a logo image, and you can have a splash image, or you can skip them both or skip one, have the other. So this is where you would upload those. Okay, at this point, I'm going to jump over to my other event that I already have somewhat started.
Mike, we have a quick question in the chat about
Okay.
the county approval. If you
Yes.
click all counties and the county level approval, do their counties have to approve them?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
In order for them to be approved. Now, the thing is depending on how you set up your reports, you may not care if there's the approval or not. But when we eventually get to credit cards and the ability to do that, their credit card won't get charged until the approval happens. So if you have it without any county intervention, they'll go right through and charge a credit card right away. If you have it where there has to be county approval, well, then at that point, the credit card will just sit there until the county approves the registration, and that's when it'll go out and it'll charge the credit card. So that might be a time you want to be thinking about that. But since we don't have credit cards yet, and maybe you don't want to deal with credit cards yet in your event, you just you have a no charge event, or there's pay by check only, then that becomes less of an issue of the county approval. All right, so I just jumped over into a demo event that I've created that actually has a lot of little different bells and whistles going that we want. And so we're going to go down here to the bottom, and I've put in a logo image and a splash image on this event. So you'll be able to see where they go. And to replace it, you just click on upload and it asks you to select the picture. and you can just click it. And there is a limit of 800 by 800 pixels for the logo and 1200 by 1200 for the splash. And most pictures you can shrink down to that being shown on the screen. You're not going to lose any resolution. It'll still be readable. Okay, so we have the event created. We now need to work on registration types. Now, each group of people that you're going to have enroll in your event needs to have a registration type created for them. Now, right now, we have 4 major categories that people will fall into. Obviously, the Clover Bud, K-2, or K-2, the club members, which are 3 to 13, the volunteers, which are our adult volunteers, and then there's the new category, participant. These are the people who are not enrolled. And you need to know what groups you're going to have people coming from so that you can create these types. Now, you might also have, maybe have 2 types of club members. Let's say you're having a camp and you want some camp counselors and you want the campers. So what you would do is you would set up one registration type and the role as club member for the campers. You would then set up another registration type still for club members that are your counselors. And let me show you what one looks like. So I'm going to just click on this one here, the youth members, and you'll see the same thing if you click on add type. I have this one created. So I have here, the name is youth members, just so we can differentiate them. The role is club member. So at this point, it's going to be any club member K to 13 who is active, approved, they can register for this event. If you go down here, the registration fee I have set for $50. And the registration start date is March 15th, so that's Monday, through May 1st. And this particular event I have happening June 1st. So it's good for, May 15th through March 15th through May 1st. You can also set up early registration and late registration, but the only reason for doing that is if their fee is going to be different, as in maybe they get a discount for registering early, or maybe there's an additional charge for a late registration. So that's the only reasons you would use these. And it just, you can just click on edit, check the box, enter the fee, the start and end date. Now, the end date for early registration has to be the day before the start of registration normally. So it can't cross over. You can't have it be the same date or anything. It has to be uniquely different. Same thing for late registration. The start date for late registration has to be no earlier than the day after regular registration ends. But you don't have to use these at all, the early or the late. Just set up the regular, just set up your registration dates and you're good. Down here, we have some settings. And the options are, the first one is the health form. Now we have some choices for this. There are 3 health forms in 4-H Online. There is the adult and the youth, which are used during enrollment. So that only asks, I think, like 2 questions and has the legal release. So the 2 questions are, do you require any accommodations to participate? And is there any other information you want to share? So that's what the adult and the youth are here. The youth extended is that full health form that when printed out, when it's, when you got the blank piece of paper, you're handing it to the person to fill out on paper. It's the front and back. It's really detailed. Ask for medications, ask all about allergies, all that kind of information. That's the youth extended. And you can assign these, the adult, the youth extended, or even if you want to, you go no health form at all. So this is what you would be setting for this registration type. It's not for the whole event for everybody, it's for this type. So right now we're looking at club members. So we don't really need any more information, although this is an overnight. So overnight you'd be wanting to use the youth extended, but for this one, we'll just say no health form. which means we're not going to ask them any more questions. If we do have them fill out a health form, select the youth here, this means that it takes the health form they filled out during enrollment, makes a copy of that, allows them to modify it, and saves it with their registration. The next event that comes along, you could select, the whatever health form you want, and it does the same thing again. It takes the last health form information, makes a copy of it, allows them to edit it, and attaches it to the registration. So you could actually have multiple copies of a health form for the people, for any particular member. Like when they enrolled, and then let's say they attended 3 events, you could actually have 4 copies of the health form at that point. And just certain ones are attached with the events, whereas the one still stays with the enrollment. And modifying the health form on an event does not modify the enrollment health form. So that's the health form. Kind of a long spiel, but it's a little bit complicated of a concept, but once we get it, it becomes really easy. Maximum registrations. How many of this enrollment type do you want to be able to register for this event? Now, the problem here is that each enrollment type is its own count of registrations. There is no way to limit. Let's say I want Clover Buds, I want club members, I want volunteers, I want participants, all to be able to register, but I can only have 20 people total. Unfortunately, there's no way to do it automatically. Although in a meeting the other day, a lot of other states were saying, yeah, we need to have an overall limit, not just these individual limits. So that may be coming down the road. But right now, this is how many of this enrollment type do we want to allow in here? And 0 means unlimited. The restrict registrations to the 4-H program, we don't need to worry about that. 4-H Online 2.0 is capable of handling more than just 4-H. It can handle master gardeners, strong women, what other groups we have as separate programs within the system. So this would then restrict them to only being open to people that are in the 4-H program versus one of those other programs. So, and right now Wisconsin only uses for 4-H, so that's all. That it doesn't matter how you check that box. Initiate registration by manager only. It's just like what I described before for the overall event. In this case, though, this means that this particular enrollment type, the manager has to start the enrollment or start the registration for the family. They can't start it themselves. But once it's started, they can take over and continue the registration. Deposit amount and the deposit full payment due date, that has to do with more with the credit cards, so we'll just skip that for now. Now, this is club member, it's 3 through 13, but really I only want 7th and up to attend. So what we'll change here is the youth restriction type, and we can do age grade or we can do program youth division. Age grade, when you select that, you suddenly get these 2 boxes too. And what you can do here is with the grade, again, we can check it and we can go through and we can select, what did I say? Was it 7th and up? So I'll check the boxes. And at this point, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I'm going to allow to register. And that's because I put in this age grade restriction. I go ahead and hit save on that. And now it's updated here. So I'll go back up here to types. I could add another type, adult volunteer. It works just like the youth members, only there is no, the youth restriction type isn't there because they're not a youth, they're an adult. It lists it here, but it's not able to be used. The other item we have, other type, because Clover Buds are just like those 2. Participants. This is a little bit different because participants are merely those individuals who are not and have not been enrolled in the program. So the system doesn't know if they're a youth or an adult at that point. When they go to register for an event, the event modules do not know if they're a youth or an adult. So you actually have to create two types if you want youth and adult participants to be able to register for your event. And the only difference is going to be you're going to have it say youth participant or adult participant. So I'm going to go ahead. I have a youth participant, so I'm going to create an adult participant now. Adult participant, and the type is participant. Health form, I'm going to say adult. Program year, there, deposit amount, registration fee, I'll charge 50 for them. It was about March 15th, I think, to May 1st. No early registrations. They're not a youth. Okay, so I now have an adult participant also as a type here. So once you have this set up, and if you're having participants as well as enrolled, and you're having youth and adults, you're probably going to have at minimum these 4 categories. Okay, so once we have the type set up, and if you forget one, you can go back and add it. There'll just be some additional work you'll have to do once we get to the questions. So here in the questions, I've got a bunch of them set up here. But if you want to add one, you can actually add it anywhere you want just by clicking the plus. So I'm going to add it up here. And it asks you what type you want. And I have examples of all of them in this event, so we can take a look at them. The checkbox is just a checkbox. Content block is just a block of text that you have. There's nothing for them to interact with. It's just to display some information on the screen. Date picker is just that. They have to choose a date. Drop down is, it's a drop down selection. Multi-line lets them type in, and this box can be as large as you want. There's more than one line is available there. Multiple choice is sort of like the drop down, only it's all the options are on the screen. They can check which one they want. Number input, they got to put in a number. Radio group, it's similar to the drop down and the multiple choice, but everything's on the screen. And if you select one, if you go to select another one, it switches your answer to that other one. So it's sort of the advantage of everything on the screen, like multiple choice, and the only one selection of the drop down. Single line text is just like multi-line text, only it's only one line. Quantity control, this is a new one. This basically lets you have a drop down. You can ask them, like, how many years have you been attending? Or how many copies of the book do you want to buy? And it's just a number. You set the maximum number, and the drop down is 1 through whatever that number is. Now you'll notice that some of these have $ next to them. That means you can set dollars, so a fee associated with each answer in that question. And what happens is when they go to register, they'll actually see all their fees listed based upon their answers. So that's the different groups that are available. Now we'll take a look at some examples here. Here we have a checkbox, and I added in the fee for the checkbox is $16. I can check whether it's a required answer or not, as in whether they have to answer the question or if they can skip the question. Put down who it can be viewed by, because with these different types, you might have different questions for some of the people than other people, depending on what their role is going to be. Just like your campers, you might ask them different questions than what you're asking your camp counselors. Because your camp counselors, you might want to know how many times have you attended camp? Have you ever been a counselor before? Whereas it wouldn't make sense to ask those questions perhaps to the campers themselves. So you would have your campers and your counselors, you can ask different questions. And so you just check the box as to who you want to be able to see the question. And then we'll go ahead and save. And so if they were to check the box when they register, which they're going to have to because it's required now, there'd be a $16 charge added to their invoice. Control text is just that. You type in whatever you want to have in there. In fact, it's right here is where you would type it in. You can do bold, italics, you can link to something. It's just a block of text that you can add in. And again, who is it visible to? Date picker. Your options are you can actually set a minimum and a maximum date. However, I did some testing today and I'm not sure if that part is actually working right. So I'll have to get more information on that exactly. But by default, it just lets them put in a date. Again, is it required? Who sees the question? Drop down. You can put in your options here. You can add more options. If I want to add a fourth option or a fifth option, I can do that. I can put in the fee for different things. So maybe there's be a drop down as to what class do they want to attend in the 9 to 10 o'clock session. You put in all your options here, and if there's any fees associated with it, you can put that in. It would automatically add them up for them. Multi-line text. It's just that it's a box for them to type text into, and depending on how big you need the box to be, right here you can determine how many rows it is. So let's say I want 6 rows for this one. So it's a larger, taller box for them to type in. Multiple choice. It has an extra little feature available in here in multiple choice, in that you can have, just like the drop down, different choices, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. You can have the fees associated with each option, but you can also limit how many are available in that option. So like, let's say you have this might be for like, the different classes from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And you have like 10 seats available in this one. There's 25 in this one. It's unlimited in this other one. You can set how many there are. And once that number is reached, then it's options not available for anyone else to select. Now, there's also another thing you can do with this, another little twist, in that we can now limit the choices if you want. You just check the box, and of my 3 choices here, they're limited to 2 of the 3. So this might be something. There was a county that was having some like project in a box thing, and they had like 5 or 6 choices of what the people could have, and they could choose up to 3 of them to what they wanted, projects they wanted included in the box that was being sent to them. So here what you can do is you can set it so that you have your 6 choices all listed here, and then just say limit the choices, and it's how many, and that's all the more that they can check. If they were to check more than that, the submit button does not enable until they reduce that back to whatever your limit is. So this one here is actually very handy in that you have the limit to the number of people that can select each choice. You can have fees associated with each individual choice, and you can actually do a limit as to how many of those choices they can select. So that's the multiple choice. Number input. I'm not sure about this. I didn't actually play around with the number available, the min and max values, but basically it's a spot for them to put in a number, and it's going to filter it so that they have to put in a number. They can't put in any text, any other special characters. It has to be 0 through 9 digits only. Radio group. Radio group is kind of like the drop down, only it shows all the options on at the same time. Again, you have your choices. So here we have radio buttons 1, 2, and 3, a fee associated with each of the options, but it doesn't have the advantage of the check boxes where you can limit the number, because radio buttons are only, it's where it's like when you select one, you go to select another one, it erases your first choice. Single line text input. is just like the multi-line, only it's just one single line. Quantity. Now here you'll see I have a fee associated with it. I say 3. And we have a number available. So I say there is 4 available. And I'll show you when we go to registry what this does. And again, there's the required and the viewed by. Those 2 boxes are available on everywhere. All right, so we have our questions set up. We have our types set up. We have questions attached to the types, as in, you know, different people can see different things. If you want, you can check all the boxes on all of your questions so that everybody sees the same questions. That's fine. It just gives you the power to filter out, so certain questions might be asked to one group and not another. Consents. We have a whole list of consents that are already built into the system. There's all kinds of, you know, the youth code of conduct, the volunteer expectation, behavior expectations, the assumption of risk, the hold harmless, indemnity, and release. Here we see the electronic communications permission is on here. We have all these that are available. And what you can do is just click on associate consent, and it's going to create a new consent for this event. And here in the drop down for consent, you can see all of them that we have here. So you just take one, so I can take the adult assumption of risk. And the registration type that it gets applied to, we're going to add this to the adult participants. We don't need to add it, and I'll click save. We don't need to add it to the adult volunteers because they've already signed that when they enrolled. So we don't need to add that in. You can put it in if you want, but there's really no need to have that additional item on here. And the date effective is the version of that consent. All right, custom files. This is where you could have them attach a file to their registration. There is actually one state, I think it's Missouri, that uses the events here to collect scholarship applications. And so they have the kids actually upload their resumes as attachments to the event registration, and then they can just download all of them and then go through them. So it doesn't have to be a photo, it could be a PDF also. And to do that, you just click on Add Custom File, give it a name, and then a description. I'm not very creative here. The file type, high quality image. You're probably not going to be using that. That is a TIFF. That is not what people normally get out of their off their cameras. So that's what the high quality image is. The image, that's your PNGs, that's your GIFs, that's your JPEGs, that's your normal, what everybody recognizes as a photo file. And then there's PDF. And then it lists your registration types already, and then do you want it not visible, do you want it visible, or do you want it required? Visible just means it's there and they can add something, but they don't need to in order to submit the registration. I'll just leave it as visible for all these. Okay, moving on to emails. There are certain triggering actions here. When somebody submits their registration, they get an email. When the registration is approved, they get an email. They get an email if you send the registration back to them. There's a few things there, and they're all standard email templates that are there, but you can modify them. If you don't modify them, it uses just the system generic ones, which I tell you is very generic. It lists their name and it lists their the event, and it says if you have any questions, contact your accounting office. But to add one in, we'll just click on Add Email Template.
Mike, before we get too far away from our
Yes.
last thing, we do have a question on the file type.
Okay.
Can we choose more than one file type? Example, some people will send PDF and others take pictures of the document and send as an image.
In that case, you'd want to have 2 files created. So I'll jump back here to custom files. So you'd probably have the same description, but one would be a PDF and one would be a JPEG. You cannot select more than one type per um, um, you can't have more than one type per document, per file.
Okay, thank you.
Because it's a drop down. We can only select one. So to get around that, you'd have to create a second file and have the other file type listed there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so back here to emails, you just put in a caption here. Registration sent back. Let's see, you know what it is. Here's the event. So there's only these 3 left because I've already created 2 other ones. So moved on to the next level. That would be if there was a county and a state approval needed for the event. When the county approved it and moved on to the next level, the state, they'd get sent that email. If you declined it, they get an email for that too. But yeah, the sent back, we'll just select which event action. And then it gives us, here is the template. So this is what the default is. Hello, first, last name. Registration has been returned to you for the event. Please review your registration and resubmit. For more information, assistance, or questions, please contact your blank county extension staff. Like registration approved, basically the same thing. Hello, registration has been approved for whatever event. To change this, because you want to add more information in there, you click on edit. And at that point, you can type it in. And you can also grab things over the different variables, like if you want to include their age or the family name or whatever. So you can customize what this email is. I know I think the VLC is using this feature to automatically send when the registration is approved. They get the email. Not only that, they get all the contact information and any other information about the event. So normally the email that you would send out, saying, hey, thanks for registering. Here's the link for the Zoom. Here is, the supplies you need to have ready. Here's some background information, whatever. Instead of you having to go and send that out, you can have it do it automatically as soon as the registration is approved. The one thing is you'd have to have that email all set and ready to go when you create the event, so that when the first person registers, they get that email with all the information in it. So you'd have to have, you'd have to know what you're going to send out at the time that you create the event. All right, you make the changes, hit save, and it'll save it there. Click on emails to see the rest of them. And you can edit any of those. Now, let's say you're doing a multi-county event, or you have more than one person in your county office, and you don't want to be the only one to have to deal with taking care of this event. Click on managers. Here you can actually add other people as event managers. I'm currently logged in as my training staff, county staff person, and then I added myself as the state admin to this event also. All you have to do to add somebody is click on add event managers, start typing in their names. So I'm going to pick on Alyssa and make her right there a co-manager of this event. The role doesn't matter. Staff or volunteer, doesn't matter. It's just for you to know. It doesn't affect the rights at all. So I'll just say she's staff. Event setup. You want them to have no access to the event setup. You want them to just be able to read it. You want them to help you make changes to it. So none read or write for the access there. Registration management. Okay, definitely going to write for that because that's where I need the help. And then edit event managers. I'll let her add event managers too. So I hit save. And now she's added. She can read, she can see the setup, and she can deal with the registrations, and she can add more managers if needed. Now, if you have an event that you need me to help you set up, because there's something going wrong with it, you want another set of eyes on it, make sure you add me as an event manager here, so that I can help you with that. Otherwise, I can't see the event. You have to grant me the rights to see it. We scroll over, there's more things over here. We have registrations. This is not going to have anything in it right now because, okay, this is an event I've been reusing. So yes, we do see someone in here who's been canceled. This is where you'd see all the registrations for the event. And then there's reports. And these reports looks just like your enrollment reports, only it's going to be keyed off of just the people in this event. So, you do the same thing, to add a report, create your roster, and it looks just like the reports for the enrollment. The only difference is it only looks at the people who have registered for this event. All right, so we've got the event set up. We're ready to go. So I'm going to change the status from testing to active. Okay, so now let me find my other family. Okay, here we are. Welcome to the chicken family. We have Arthur, who's a volunteer who's awaiting review, as is Lion. There's Phoenix Chicken, an approved Cloverbud. PETA Chicken, who is an approved club member. Then we have Tuba here, who's not enrolled. So this is going to basically cover pretty much all the different scenarios that I created in the event setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to refresh this. Oops. Okay, I refreshed it. I saw that I was logged in as a county also. So now we can scroll down here to the bottom. And look here, we have Training Fall Forum. We have Demo Event. We have Cultural Arts Festival. This is the next 3 events to occur that have open registration at this time. Now, remember how I said there was the logo and there was the splash image? The logo is this right here. So over here is just the clover. Here it is the 4-H girls here, but you notice how it's kind of cut things off there. And then over here under Cultural Arts Festival, there's no logo. Splash image. There's none here under the Training Fall Forum. Demo event. Here's that splash image that I created. And here is one for the Cultural Arts Festival. It's a larger physical picture. It still meets the 1200 by 1200 pixels. So that's our thing there. Now, take a look here. Here's the title, Demo Event. Down here, this is just a sample. That is the event description. So the event title is up there. The event description is there. It lists the dates that it's happening. So there's somebody in this family that's eligible to go to this event. So I'll just click on register. And it looks like PETA and Tuba are able to attend the event. Now, if we go back and take a look here, okay, PETA is the club member and Tuba is the participant. Phoenix, the Cloverbud, there is no Cloverbud type. We did not create that. So Cloverbuds can't enroll in this, cannot register for this event. And up here, Arthur and Lion are both awaiting review. They're not approved yet, so they cannot register either. But before I click on that, what if that event is not listed here, the one that you want? You can click on events over here. And this is going to show you all the events. So we have here's this Training Fall Forum event that I tried to make and it failed miserably. Demo event, the one I was just showing you. Cultural Arts Festival. So here's the next 3, which we saw those already on the family screen. We go down here, here's more of them, that there's somebody in the family is eligible to attend. And these are all VLC, we can tell because it has the red Wisconsin. So these are these 4 that are still open for registrations. So I'll go back up here to Demo Event, click on Register, and I'm going to choose Tuba Chicken. This was our participant. Select. Now, because it doesn't know if they're youth or adult, and we created the youth and adult participant because there'll be different questions between the youth and the adult, is what we'd assume. They're presented with two choices. They can click on if they're an adult participant or they're a youth participant. The registration start and end dates are the same. This is really the only time you're going to see this, unless you had some sort of something with the club members where you had two different roles. You know, anytime you have two registration types for the same member role, you'll see this. So I've got youth participants and adult participants for the participant type or for the role. And the registration is open now. So I'm just going to click on youth participants. I'll start the registration. If I was doing a manager only registration, this is all the further I'd have to go. Right now, this is incomplete, but it's in their record. So at this point, you could back out, let the family log in and continue the registration because you started the registration for them. Okay, but let's go down, take a look here at the invoice. Registration fee says $50. Gonna check this box. And it should have added a fee, but it didn't. Drop down, check an option. Gonna add that. Multiple choice. Okay, it's not gonna add to the invoice until we submit. So I'm gonna actually choose all three, even though I'm limited to 2 choices, and it tells me that. Radio group, let's go ahead and choose one. Down here, quantity, this is the important one. So this would be a question like, you know, how many copies of the book do you want? Because each copy is $3. So if you choose that you want 3 copies of the book, it charges you $9. If you say 1, it charges you $3. So this is where the quantity would be associated with a dollar amount. If you don't have a fee involved, then it doesn't matter. But I'll say 2 on this one. Down here under files, here's favorite photo. And if we want to upload a favorite photo, we'll do that one. And it's going to work on uploading it. And it's going to attach it right to this registration. So there we can look at it. We can overwrite it. We can delete it. We can download it. But since we just upload it, we won't need to. And the same thing with the resume. Same thing, it will only let you choose PDFs. Now you notice next is not, it's grayed out. We can't do it yet. And that was because up here, I chose too many choices. So uncheck choice 2, and then I scroll down, and now I can click on next. And here it gives me, okay, here's my fee. This $50 registration event is now costing me $93. Because here's my $50 registration fee, $16 because I checked the box. Drop down, it shows option 2, and that was $4. Multiple choice and multiple choice, that's where I chose options 1 and 3, which were $7 and $2. Radio group, $8, and the quantity was 6. Now, I did not name these anything besides what their type is, but you would see normally, you know, multiple choice. It'd be whatever that choice 1 was. That's what you're going to see here instead of multiple choice. You know, in radio group, radio 2, you'll see the actual line detail of what it was. So now we have health form, and I'm hoping I chose a short one for this. Yep, okay. Need any accommodations to participate in the activity? If they say yes. Uh-oh. All right, this is not working. This is supposed to pop up a box. Okay. Make a note to ask support about this. Okay. And then just the medical release. And it's not letting me choose that. There we go. The box did not pop up. It's supposed to pop up a box, and it wasn't going to let me continue until I entered information in that box. So I hit next. Now the consents, I had the assumption of risk is one thing I added to it. The hold harmless was another one I added to it. These are consents that I added for this type to this event. And now here it is, the button to pay by check. And payment for the event we would like to buy the county. Applying this option, you're responsible for providing a check as payment, et cetera, et cetera. Confirm. And next, there is the ability to have coupons added to your event, but what they do is they take a percentage off. So 10%, 25%, 50%, or 100%. And if you're interested in the coupons, let me know. I can work with you to get a coupon created. You just give a coupon code out to you to certain people, and then they can apply that to this event. And then next, summary, what they chose, hit finish. And at this point, here's the demo event. It's pending approval for this person.
Mike, we have a question in the chat.
Yes.
Which health form has the med list and the aspirin permission?
That would be the youth extended. So the youth extended is the big full health form, asks all the questions. And
we have that option to request that. That's one of the health forms you can ask for.
Yes, when you have an event registration, that is one of them that you can choose. So you can choose to have no health form. The youth or the adult health form is what you just saw. And then there's the youth extended, which is the full-blown health form. The old health form used to only have spots for 4 medications. The new one will actually keep expanding as long as you enter another medication. It'll give you a spot for another one. So if they have, a dozen medications, it's possible to list all those on this new health form. But yes, and the youth extended, even though it's called youth extended, you can use it for the adults also. The system does not stop you from choosing that one.
Okay, so this one you just did is the one that's actually in the enrollment section then?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Which is the very short one, just basically ask those 2 questions.
Okay. So like if we're doing a camp or something, we would want to do the extended one for the med list. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
And one little thing too is that they have to answer the questions on the extended health form. They can't skip the questions, which is a problem we had with the last system, in that they could update their health form, but they didn't have to answer all the questions. They didn't have to answer any of the questions for that matter. This way it forces them, if you're attending this event, you're filling out the health form and you're answering everything. Okay. So it kind of eliminates that problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have another question that says, should we add the hold harmless for members or just participants? Because members should have signed something similar when they re-enrolled, correct?
Yes. You only really need those releases for the participants. So the hold harmless, the code of conduct. What other ones are there? Let me look real quick here. Oops, let me change the status back to testing. So of this whole list here, the adult assumption of risk, the adult liability insurance, the adult volunteer behavior expectations, youth assumption of risk, youth code of conduct, youth hold harmless, those are all collected at enrollment time and they have to check the box. So you don't need to add those to your club members, your Clover Buds, and your volunteers. But your participants will not have answered those when they created their record. So you'll want to include those in those. Now, there are also a couple other ones in here, like there's a youth and adult recorded media release. That is answered at enrollment time. However, if they want to change their answer, this would be a way you could actually collect it again, like specific for this event. So somebody who answered no generally might say yes at this event. So you might want to include that one in there, the recorded media releases. The adult rocketry is for any adult who has signed up as a model rocketry leader has signed this release. But if you have other adults, and maybe you're going to do rocketry at your event, and you have other adults, you might want to have them sign this too. So you might want to include that for the adults at that point. Then the horse project, there is a release for adults and for youth. So if your event is dealing anything with horses, you'll probably want to include that also. And you might want to include that for all adults and youth, because it's only those adults and youth who are in the horse project that will have seen that release prior. But for general purposes, yeah, just the only ones you really need to put them on are the participants, because they haven't seen any of them. Okay, so here I've registered. I'll click on member list. And actually, I'm going to go down here to Pita Chicken now. And I'll show you the other way, because I showed you from the family here. We see this. So you can click on register. Oh, wait, let me make that back to live again, because it's there. You notice my event disappeared. So I'll click on member list again. Okay, family, member list. Okay, I did make it live. It's just not showing up there right now because I am not hitting refresh, because I don't want to have to log in again. I'll go in as Pita Chicken though. And here I can click on events, and I can see here we have just this one here is incomplete, which means I can click on it and go through and complete the enrollment, or complete the registration. If I want to go for something new, click on register, and here is everything that's coming up that this person can register for. So I'll go to demo event, hit next. Now here you'll notice there's only one option. So they don't have to select it. They can just click on start registration, because there's not like a choice like the participants whether it was a youth or adult. It's just they're a youth member, bam, done. And there's our registration. Same exact thing that we saw with the adults. Health form might be different, the consents might be different, but everything else is the same. Okay, so let's go back here on the staff side. Take a look at registrations. Okay, we have Pita Chicken is here now, and Tuba Chicken is here. And let's see, Pita Chicken is incomplete. Tuba Chicken is pending approval. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this one. So I'll click on it, and this operates a lot like the enrollment approvals. So we'll just go down, let's quickly scan it. We're not able to change anything here, except for down here with the questions. And so we could click on edit and make some adjustments. There's the photo there, and I can actually download the photo if I want. And here's a resume file, which we did not upload one. Health form, all there is just the medical release was done. Consents are there too. There's the invoice. It says we can edit it. But then here's, comment if you're going to send it back. Otherwise, you can approve it or block it. Now, if you say block, it's actually going to block this person from being able to register again, because we did not enable multiple registrations. So this is the only registration this person can create for this event. And if we block it, they can't create another one, because they can't create a second one to begin with. But also this one here cannot move forward. But I'll just go ahead and approve it. And at that point, I'm like that. Now, you might say, how can I find out what my people have, anybody in my county, what events have they enrolled in? Because I mean, this way, you don't want to have to go down through this list and click each one, and it's like, okay, I have to create a report to see who was on it, see if everybody from my. You don't have to do all that. You can actually just click on registrations over here on the side. Here is everybody from your county that has gone for any event, and you can see what their status is and if they were approved. So this is that, and you can actually filter by events if you want to.
Mike, can volunteers create events or only staff?
Only staff can create events. However, if you have a volunteer-led event, there is a way that you can grant them access to edited, look at registrations, run reports, what I have to do is I'd have to add them to the 4-H online directory, which means it can't be the same email address as their family. I would add them in as a manager in your county, but with no rights whatsoever. So they don't see anything. They see the menu on the side, and every time they click on it, they get an unauthorized to view or change data. Except for if they go to events, they can go to the event and then whatever rights you granted them in there. So it is something I can do. And so it's something that, if we need to do it, we can do it. Not sure how much you'll want to do that, but completely you can do it. You would need to create the event for them first, and then you can add them as a manager after you've created the event. So long story short, yes, you can. There's just a few steps to having to do it. All right, that's basically events. I guess one thing to keep in mind here about the events is, and let me just jump here to county. You have to have the event active to deal with it. So right now I'm in this event. Its status is active. At this point, I can click on registrations. I can see it. I can click on Pita Chicken and I can see the registration. Okay, but I'm going to change the status here now to closed. Event update fail. Okay, move it to testing. There we go. Now it's succeeded. It's in testing. Okay, so I can make changes. But if I go to registrations and I'm going to click on, let's say, Tuba Chicken, it's going to make me wrong, isn't it? Okay. Oh, this is incomplete though, isn't it? Tuba was incomplete. Oh no, Tuba was approved. So let's delete it. It's not supposed to be letting me do this because it's in testing status. So you weren't supposed to be able to do anything with the management of the event, as in approving registrations while it's in testing status, but apparently it's letting me do it now. But that's basically it for events, how you can create one, all the different parameters you need to think about. And again, if you have any problems, you can contact me and you can make me an event manager also, and I can go in and take a look at it. And maybe you want another set of eyes just before you make it live. So yeah, any questions?
Mike, we just had our family learning day in Fond du Lac County, and we opened it to other counties. But when we approved it, the email that they got from the other counties says make their check payment to their county and not Fond du Lac County.
Yes, that is a thing that is a bit of a sticking point here, and that is the registration. If you do check, it always goes to the home county is where it says that it's due to, and there's no way for us to change that.
What about customizing that return email, their confirmation email?
Yes, that'd be a place to do it. Put it in like the registration submitted email or in the confirmed email, where you can put in additional information in there as to like where to send the check.
Okay.
That's what I'd recommend, putting it in there.
Thank you.
I've been playing with an event right now, actually, and in the settings and the non-electronic payment instructions is a good place to put instructions as well. It just sent a confirmation email, and what I have written in there actually went to my email as well. So I think that's a good place to maybe double up what you do want your payment instructions to be.
Was that
in
here in
your
settings
Yes,
over here?
in settings up
that
there.
that becomes the instructions for everything, including enrollment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's where that would come in. So yes, you can edit that, put in special instructions. However, it's not necessarily only for events, it's for all check payment.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you're
Well,
running
that's good to
multiple
know.
events, that could be a problem.
Could be. Okay, that's really good to know.
Say, Mike, I have a question on the downloads that you can do, like with a JPEG. I know you said that you could either do the JPEG or the PDF or whatever, but let's say we did a JPEG because we were doing a photography event and we had wanted them to send in 5 photos. How many can they actually upload in there? Is there a limit?
There's only one file would be available there. So what you might want to do is create multiple ones there. So
But
let's
if they were
see,
all the same, like they
custom
were
files.
all.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So you might have like photo number 2 and have that, and maybe add another one. So maybe you have, like, let's say your event has a limit of you can submit up to 5 photos for this contest. You would then create, photo 1, photo 2, photo 3, photo 4, photo 5, and just make them all visible, and then people could upload as many up to those 5 spots.
Oh, good, great, thanks.
So yeah, that's so you're not limited to only one, only one instance of a PDF or one instance of a photo. It's just you can have as many custom files as you want. It's just that each custom file can only have one type, either a PDF or a photo.
Great, thanks.
Yep. And I think there is a way here. Let me just check here. Go to registrations. We can actually download files. And so by clicking on that, I'm going to give it a file name. I'm going to create. Okay, so see home screen. Okay, it's created that. I'm going to download that. And it's created a zip file here. And when I click on it, you probably can't see this. There is one. Here, let me change. Let me change what's being shared. Okay, here's my whole screen, and here is the file, the zip file that I opened. You can see here, so the file name is demo event, so it's the event name. Favorite photo, that is the name of the file that we had them upload. Because it was like there was favorite photo, there was resume, and there was photo number 2. So this one here is the favorite photo one. The county is training. Now I don't know, I think that is the county of the member. And then it has their last name and their first name. And then 753, I'm going to guess, is the registration number, as in the next person to register would be 754. So here is a download, and we can actually just open it up. And it's opening up on my other screen. There's the photo that was uploaded. So you would see all of them would be in this zip file that we downloaded. There was a few clicks to get to it, but all the photos are in there. I only had one file uploaded. Okay, any more questions?
Can I ask something not related to events?
Sure. But first, is there any other event questions? No? Okay. Alyssa, you want to stop the recording, please?
Yep.